My guest today is Mr. Will Roundtree, a renowned entrepreneur and financial expert. He's the CEO of We Management Services and specializes in credit optimization, business funding, and real estate investment. With years of experience helping entrepreneurs build and scale their businesses, Will brings invaluable insights and practical strategies to the table. He's also a 3-time best-selling author, having written impactful books such as Credit is King and Full-Time CEO. He's also helped thousands of people become 6-figure earners and at least a dozen millionaires. Will is going to come with me today on this journey for the second time. DeAndre Woodson at the Double Down Podcast. Back again.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for the invite.
Man, I couldn't wait to get you back for the second one, so I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
I want to start this one off, bro, a little bit differently than what the audience is used to. Normally, we try to teach a selective goal or a selective way to get into a business enterprise or different entity and then how to scale it, right? So normally we just lay out blueprint. But I've actually had a lot of people in my DMs lately, a lot of people that message back on the YouTube videos, and they don't even know how to start. And that's what I want to try to touch on today is the mindset of what it's like to get into this world. And then when you do get into this world, the new mindset you have to have to become successful in this world, because it takes you to limits that you didn't even know were fathomable until you get into it. There we go. Absolutely.
That's a whole nother level.
And I know I'm at one level that I look and view myself as successful. You've done it for a decade now, plus, because you were actually the reason I got into this and I felt confident in myself. So if you don't mind, if you could just talk to me about the levels that you've hit as you've progressed on your entrepreneur journey.
Man, shit. How far you want me to go back?
Up to you. Up to you what you want to share.
You know what's so interesting? I was actually thinking about this recently because you can get caught up in your bubble to where you don't even realize what you've accomplished sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I had to dig back because, I mean, this is a 20-year journey for me. You know, this was pre-social media, so I don't have content to look back at myself. But I often think back to, like, where was I at mentally when I first started? Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, I think I had an unfair advantage, DeAndre.
Okay.
And that unfair advantage was I got my start in network marketing. And in network marketing, they taught us personal development. Okay. And we were training in personal development. It was almost like a college course. Like we went to a training on Tuesdays. We went to a training on Thursdays. We went to a training every other Saturday. And sometimes we were there, you know, even just sporadically throughout the week. And we was reading, you know, how to win friends and influence people and dissecting it. We was reading 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We was listening to Les Brown. We was listening to Jim Rohn. We was listening to, you know, Robert Kiyosaki. Like we were playing Cash Flow Quadrant, or excuse me, Cash Flow 101, a board game. So it just instilled in me and everybody who was around at that time, the seeds were being planted. And I have probably about 20 journals. Wow. That I've written in over the course of, you know, the past 20 years. And my first journal entry was in 2004. And I look back and I'm like, everything that I was learning back then, I use today. And so to answer your question, you really have to kill off a version of yourself in order to be where you want to be, because that's going to be your biggest op. You're going to be fighting the old version of yourself. And that old version is the one usually telling you, can you even do this? You're not deserving of this.
Absolutely.
You're black. You come from the hood. You come from a single parent, or whatever story that you know, that version of us will tell our subconscious, we'll start to believe it.
Right.
And then we see the imagery around us. Damn, nobody from my hood made it. Nobody in my family did this. I'm too short. I'm not this. And then we start picking ourselves apart. And so when people talk about mindset, I think this culture now of mindset is really like it's mindset now is like the Ozempic of like it's like the motivation workshops. That's the Ozempic of, but it doesn't work. It wears off pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. You have to actually have a whole lifestyle change. And I think back and I remember as I started to elevate and go through just this progression of becoming who I am, going back to 2003, people thought I was acting different. And I would tell them I am, because I'm changing. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't that I was changing because I thought I was better than them. I was changing because I had to be better than what I was at that time in order for me to be, where I'm at. Because the change isn't for you to be, the change isn't about being better so you can make more money. The change is for you to be able to endure what you're about to go through. Ooh. And that is the hardest part for most people, is that you have to endure long enough in order to be able to see something go right. Mm-hmm. Because then when you get to that level, it's a whole nother level of obstacles that you have to face. And so when it comes to like mindset, man, you really have to like empty out everything that you've been indoctrinated with. Because, I can remember when I was 13 years old, and up to that point, I used to want to be I thought I was going to go to the NBA. Okay, let me just put it out there.
Right.
I wanted to play in the NBA. And I remember being at a youth, event at the church. And the guy who was, mentoring us was going around asking us what we wanted to be. And he said, and I told him I wanted to be a basketball player. And there was a couple things he said. He was like, well, do you think you're going to be tall enough? And then the second thing he said, because this was a youth, this was at a church, and then he hit me with the religious side. He said, well, what if you win a championship? They're going to have to, you're going to have to drink champagne. And so he basically stole my dream because I was so impressionable. You have to be able to unlearn that, because you're going to go on this journey where people are going to tell you, DeAndre, how you going to make it in a credit space?
Right.
It's saturated. Mm-hmm. Like, people will tell you what they feel their limitations are. So changing your mindset is being able to endure all of the noise, and you have to be able to silence it when you're still awake.
100%.
And that is the hardest part.
There's this quote that I literally say to myself all of the time when I'm getting into conversations where I know I should get myself out of them.
Right.
And this is probably where a lot of people struggle with, just like what you were saying, is when you're going to places that you've never been to before, or that no one else around you has shown you, you do have to change. And you're changing for the better. And it does look like you think that you are better than them. And it looks like that because they're afraid of how much growing they're going to have to do to keep up with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that just comes along at every single level and every single stage. I saw this quote and I live by it now, is the most valuable real estate that you own is a space in between your brain. So be careful who you let live there. If there's people that you're having conversations with and all they want to do is talk about other people,
right,
those aren't the people you need to have conversations with. If every single time you have a conversation with this individual and it's gossip, if it's what you used to do in the past, or it's who are they messing with, or look at, they think that they're better, they're not doing nothing. Those are tells where you're like, thank you for showing me who you truly are. Right. I'm going to remove myself from this now on. And it's just, it is what it is. You have to be comfortable with that growth, and it's good for you. And honestly, it's good for that other person too.
Right.
Hopefully they take it as an opportunity to look inside the mirror and be like, dang, like what happened in that friendship? Like they were so good for me. You know why? Because all you did was take from them and you never gave anything to them. So they had to leave.
Right.
And I think that was the part for me, as I've been on this journey, that I really, really struggled with. And what I thought was the funniest was my wife was the person who was able to see it. Like, how do people treat me when I'm on top? How do people treat me when I was going through my lows and couldn't get off the ground or shaking? Right. Or just start this? Who is there to support? Or who was there when I wasn't able to buy you stuff because I was like, I have a goal in mind and it takes this much cash flow to get to it, right? those phone calls stop coming. Are you ready to turn your dreams into a reality? At DVN Consultations, we're here to guide you, complete white glove service every step of the way. Whether you're starting your credit repair journey or you're looking to get business funding, we've got your back. Go ahead and screenshot or click the QR code below and schedule your discovery call with the team. Let's make your dreams come true together. And my wife was like, do you see that nobody hits you up anymore when you stop being the provider? And it was a weird moment to look in the mirror at myself where I'm like, dang, I've been with them for 20 years though.
Man, it don't even matter.
It don't matter, because at the end of the day, did I really matter to them? So it made it very, very easy for me just to fall off and no longer reach out. And you know what made it easier was those text messages never came back in because I wasn't reaching out.
Right.
And I feel like that to me was the biggest learning curve for me on this journey that no one spoke about, or that I didn't realize I was going to have to transform and go through.
Right.
Have you had to do with anything like that? Or I'm pretty sure you've had plenty of people that you had to mentor along the way where they had to understand what I went through.
The thing I had to learn on this journey is that there's no such thing as a residual value that you leave with people. If their life isn't where they want it to be during the time you're spending time with them, everything is still going to be your fault.
Wow.
Everything. And the thing is that I had to learn to stop taking it personal, because there's countless amount of people even making attempts to get in this industry that I've worked with, that I've mentored, that I've let work within my organization, and they see what I'm doing and think that they should be further on their journey, but they don't understand what I had to, put into it to get here. And a lot of the times people think it's as easy as a cosign to get them to that next level.
Right.
And it's bigger than just being able to say, hey, this is my guy. You guys do business. Like people have to actually like you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Right. People have to actually be able to find you. I could tell you all day. I could tell people all day long, hey, this is my guy. This is my girl. Y'all go do business with them. But they've bought into who I am as a person, but they don't know these other individuals. And I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people when you bring them on this journey. And on not only that, DeAndre, somebody has to be extremely secure with being the number two. A lot of people can't do that. And so one of the things that I'm often reminding people of is that even in my previous partnership, when, I was a part of, the Jay Morrison Academy, I never mind being Batman. Wow. I never mind being Robin. Right. I never tried to be Batman, because when the team wins, everybody still eats. And so I didn't care about being in the forefront. I didn't care about being the number one. I just wanted to get the job done. And if I did the job long enough, eventually people know who Robin is too. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that I think is so hard for a lot of entrepreneurs, especially once you start making attempts to collaborate or partnership with other people, is that it's not really a business thing. I think people have made it more of a fraternity on who's the most popular. Okay. And one of the things that just blows my mind is that I find, especially in the Black community, we make it about, oh, if I don't like this person, then I'm not doing business with them. Absolutely. In other communities, they could hate each other. Yep. But if they have a goal and they can still get the result, you would swear they were best friends, but right. they don't. So it doesn't have to be a mutual agreement of liking each other for y'all to still get to that common goal. And so, but yeah, I've dealt with it all the time. And I used to be the guy who would text everybody, hey, how you doing? How's your mental health? How your family doing? And when then you start to see like, all right, let me see if I can get that same type of admiration, and it don't. But the reason I had to stop taking it personal, DeAndre, is because people usually treat you based upon what they're going through in their life. And when I started to learn that some people are just fighting demons, some people are just battling things, some people are just mentally hurt, they're broke financially, and you just got to let people go through what it is that they're going through. And so I had to learn that the hard way.
I want to go back to you talking about collaborating and collaboration and partnership. What I actually found out, which surprised me, and this is just me by nature, growing up, me and my brother, we used to play this game. It's called Three Step.
Right.
So if he was watching this, I got to tell, bro, I'm sorry. But what it was essentially was anytime we went to anywhere public, and if you're looking at a girl for more than 3 seconds, you got to step. Like, you got to go talk to her. You got to say something. Right. You know what I mean? Like, obviously there was something there for you to look that long. So I built this really tough skin, like, growing up, and I didn't even know it, right? It just worked out perfectly for me in this world that I'm in. But what it's also allowed me to do is I shoot my shot at every single opportunity I get. And I didn't know, like, I was the outlier in that. Just to be able to have conversation with you, I reached out to you, right? Because I felt like I was valuable enough and I had enough to bring to the table where you and I could have an awesome conversation, right? And that was because I've done the work on myself. So when I did get the opportunity, I was ready.
Right.
I didn't need 6 months, right? And be like, okay, he said yes, give me 6 months. I'm prepared for him. I'm prepared if you were to tell me tomorrow, right? But if I wasn't who I was with my makeup of shooting my shot, I would have never had the opportunity to sit down across from Will Roundtree. And all the other people, I don't know these people from Adam. I hit them in the DMs. I shoot them emails. Right. And when they reply back, I'm like, I'm ready whenever you're ready. But because I know I'm prepared and I'm ready to have a conversation at a drop of a hat, but also because I'm willing to collaborate.
Right.
I'm willing to have partnerships with other people. And I feel like there's a scarcity mindset where in our community is if you partnership or if you ask for a favor, it's like you owe somebody something else. Or I don't want to ask for help because now they're going to think later I owe them something, or it's transactional. Right. When you're in this world, though, I feel like you look at asking for favors as an opportunity to bring nothing but value to another individual. And then later in life, they know they have a friend for life because they're like, oh, I know someone who could help you out with this.
Right.
Right. And it's just a difference of tweak of a mindset thing that I feel like can change everyone's life if you quit looking at things a certain way, like asking for help. Instead of looking at it like, oh, I'm going to ask for help, I'm less than, or I need to do this and get this out the mud by myself. I created all this. This is all me. If you were to change that mindset and you would ask for help, you know how much faster you get to where you're going. And then you know how many more people along the way you could help. So mindset to me is it's a factor in so many different ways. And that was just a simple one of you talking about collaboration because not a lot of people want to do it.
Well, pardon me. I think it's a thin line with that. And I think the further you go on this journey, you have to be a little more selective on your level, on your collaborations.
Okay.
So even for the example, when you reached out to me, the reason it was easy for me to say yes is because of your presentation.
I appreciate that.
That's the thing. A lot of people don't have the presentation. And I think that's the part of the lack of preparation that people have. Because if I decide to come on your show, the way you present me to the world means something to me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But because you were prepared, your presentation was intact. So it was easy to have a collaboration with you. And I think when collaborating with people, I think sometimes we assume because, you know, we're both black or we're both this or we both come from similar backgrounds, that it should be an automatic, you know, kinship. And you have to be protective of that because now you have to be protective of who you align yourself with because a couple reasons. One, you don't know people's ulterior motives. Two, I don't know this person's level of integrity. You see what I'm saying? Right. It's a lot of integral things that can take place when it comes to business. Right. I've never been stolen I've been stolen from by so many people who've worked with inside my organization.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so you have to be careful who you align yourself with. And it's not necessarily a certain level of vetting. You really just kind of have to have a certain level of discernment. And that's not something you can necessarily teach because I do believe that most people are inherently good people. They want to do good,
Right.
but their circumstances sometimes will compromise, their levels of integrity, and that's the hardest part that you can't prepare for. And so you do have to be careful from a level of collaboration, but that collaboration sometimes may be, all right, DeAndre, we can collaborate, but I can't give you 100% access to what I have access to.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because I still need to be able to see the level of value that you bring to the table.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because the collaboration can't be just because I want to help you. Because sometimes you can't help people out of their circumstance.
Right.
You can only help them to become better. You can't help them out of their circumstance. And that's sometimes the hardest part, is that a lot of the times when people are asking for that olive branch, it's because of their circumstance. Sometimes it's not even always a power play. Sometimes it's like, dang, my business is failing. Let me go latch on and see if DeAndre can give me that push, and we can now collab for, you know what I'm saying? And not that it's anything wrong with that. You just have to be careful, because sometimes people's circumstances, they'll drain you, because now they get to a place of desperation.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's tough. And that goes back to that mindset. You have to be able to have a level of grace with people, because it can jade you. You know, there was times where I'm like, man, I ain't doing business with nobody.
I believe it.
You know what I'm saying?
And
so you have to have a certain level of grace, and that's why the mindset and working on yourself, and and it's bigger than just being able to go read Think and Grow Rich, like the 5 books that everybody read.
Right.
And what's so interesting, people can cite off all these books and they do none of the strategies that are inside there.
A single
It's
one.
like, how you read Rich Dad Poor Dad and you scared of credit? You know what I'm saying?
How you have in your bio real estate investor, and
No real estate.
Not
And
a
I say this all the time.
renting. You know what I mean?
I say this all the time.
It doesn't make any sense. They do got a penthouse, you know what I mean? But it's a rented penthouse.
Yeah.
But they want to try to teach other people how to go and flip houses and how to do the Burr method.
Because a lot of that is they're doing it, and this is not for everybody, so I want to say this in the most respectful way. A lot of the times when you see people like flipping in and out of, different industries, they're doing things out of desperation, because the last thing probably didn't work.
Right. Just try to switch a little something,
Yeah.
put a little different seasoning on something else.
And it's okay with trying to find your thing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's where a lot of that comes from. But that's why I say the mindset is that you have to be able to endure whatever it is you have to be able to go through to get to that next level. Because 9 times out of 10, if you haven't worked on self, I don't care what industry you get in.
Right.
Trucking, Airbnb, like, it doesn't matter. Podcasting, none of it's going to work if you don't know how to work on yourself.
100%. I saw this sign, I think it was, I think it was LeBron that said, like, he doesn't want to not be married to Savannah because he's afraid of being alone.
Right.
Or something along those lines. And I thought that was so interesting. One, because it's LeBron, right? To be as big as he is as a megastar, to be like, I'm afraid of being alone. But I knew why. I thought it was really interesting. I was like, because I don't have that fear of being alone.
Right.
Like, it wouldn't make me unhappy because I'm okay with self. Like, know thyself.
Right.
Solitude is a really powerful thing. And if you get the opportunity to do it or to take it, I think everybody should, because when you know yourself, when you get presented and you're jammed up in a situation, you already know your tendencies.
Right.
You know how you're going to act and react because you know thyself. And you can only really get that when you're alone, when you're quiet, when you're grinding.
Correct.
By yourself. So I thought that was really interesting when I saw him say, oh, I'm afraid to be alone. And I just thought, I was like, oh, he's never done it, right? Because he was the chosen one at 18.
Since he was a kid.
Yeah, he's never had that opportunity. LeBron probably doesn't even know himself and how he would act if everything was gone.
Right.
And I think that that's another part of the mindset where you need to go on this journey alone. And I think it's something that's going on with our generation because of the information era that we're in, right? And having social media. Everyone thinks that everyone is a millionaire by 25, 26, 27, 28. And I don't know if the world knows this, but that's not the case. The average millionaire is 40,
not
50,
even close.
Not even
Yeah, it's
close.
like 50 something.
And if anyone just wants to try to take this and think that I'm lying, look it up on your own. But there's also that guy who walks around School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
When he's interviewing billionaires, none of them are in their 20s. None of them.
They're usually all like 60 plus.
Come on now.
Yeah.
You could literally watch it. And I think that this is an opportunity where people are missing the building stage. Like, especially for men, when you're 20, like 28, 29, you should be trying everything. Definitely. And just going hard at everything. And by the time you get to 29 and 30, don't look back at it like, I'm a failure. I haven't accomplished anything. No, bro. You accomplished a lot. Look at all the data points you racked up.
Data points,
With 30 years, you know all those failures. Now go build the next 10 years. So by the time that you do get to 40, it's millionaire time.
Right.
And I think it's just, again, it's a mindset shift of you're not a failure if you're not Kai Cenat by 28, 29, bro. He's one of one.
Yeah.
Go try everything you possibly can so that when it's your time to shine, you know when situations come and they present themselves to you, you know how you're going to react.
Well, to that point, if you don't mind me sharing, I think people don't realize how hard it is to make $1 million.
Legit.
And when I sit down with people, I often ask them, do you even know how much that is? And they can't tell me. I say, well, that's $83,333 a month.
The fact that you know that is
awesome. Then I have to ask them, how much do you make a year? Oh, I make like 50,000. So now you have to be able to double what you make a year per month for 12 consecutive months. And I said, okay, let's break it down. Let's look at the numbers because I make everything a mathematical equation.
I remember.
So the average gross sale for, smaller, medium-sized business from, industry, from service-based, product-based, or information-based, the average gross sale is $275. Okay, and that's gross sale, which means this is pre-tax. So to make $83,333 on an average gross sale of $275, you got to sell over 300 of those things or whatever. Per year, that's 3,600 things that you have to sell. Now you have to account, how do you get in front of 3,600 people to buy? Well, you have to get in front of at least 400,000 people.
Thank you.
If the average cost per lead is $5, to get in front of 400,000 people is going to cost you $2 million. Your first year, it may cost you $2 million to make $1 million. Nobody's ever looked at it like that.
Come on now.
And so that's why people are chasing a mirage of becoming a millionaire, because we now have what are called fractional millionaires. Fractional millionaires are people who have who have stuff to make them look like millionaires.
Right.
And that's really deceiving for our generation. Whereas we don't even know how to make $1 million yet.
At all.
Let alone thinking that there's a lot of people out there who's made $1 million. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why training is so important. And there was something you said a little bit earlier about why the of getting to those next levels. When you think about a boxer or a fighter has been fighting all their lives, but yet what do they do before every major fight? They still train.
Right.
How is it that we want to go into business and we don't train?
There we go.
We just want to go out and perform. We just want to turn our camera on and post videos, but nobody is training to be successful. Nobody. Yeah.
Wow. I've never really thought about it that way, but you're right. Like, they've been fighting their entire life, and then before they go to a fight, they still have like a 4-month camp where
vigorous training.
There's nothing else.
Nothing
that matters. Their family does not matter.
Nothing.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Speaking on the fact of athletes and then people that do make the money. I don't know if you saw the story, but OBJ was on a podcast and he said he made $80 million. And at the end of the day, $80 million wasn't a lot of money. Like, it's very easy to blow through $80 million. I thought of two things right away. I was like, one, damn, why are we allowing him to say this, right? Because people are consuming this and that's what they're going to believe because it's OBJ, you know what I mean? And then two, I was like, that's a mindset thing because, brother, give me $80 million. Come on now. Like, you seen that meme? It was like, you won't know I got $80 million, but there'll be signs.
Right.
That's what that would mean for me. And then I saw a similar story like Sebastian Telfair. He made $20 million in his career, but he's living back in the apartment in New York he grew up in.
Definitely.
How is that possible, Will? How does that happen?
You want to know what's so crazy? It's actually a lot more possible than people think.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. Because of basic math.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. So let's take OBJ, for example. I think the value of the contract was like $100 million. Okay. All right. After you take taxes, which most people don't account for, let's say he's at, $60 million. Right. Okay. Out of that $60 million, he still has to pay all his other handlers. So now let's just say he's at $50 million. All right. Perfect. Now, do you know when somebody is at his level, take a guess at what you think their average monthly expenses are?
I mean, OBJ, the way he dresses, the jewelry that he has, $1 million.
Easy.
Yeah.
Even if it's $500,000.
Right.
Gilbert Arenas said the average NBA player monthly expenses is $300,000 a month.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So if you take, let's just say it was $1 million for OBJ.
Right.
After 12 months, that's $12 million. Mm-hmm. You can run out of $60 million in 5 years when your expenses are $1 million a month.
But that $10 million that you said that he put away already initially for like the handlers, right? That should be your lawyers. That should be your attorneys. That should be your
They don't care about
advisors.
Your money.
Okay.
They don't care about your money.
Okay, I got it.
Because you got to remember, at the end of the day, man, I might get in trouble for this.
You're good because to me it sounds absurd. So for you to say it's
very easy.
It's more common than you think.
It is. Because think about it like this. At the end of the day, the lawyers and the accountants, a lot of them are broke too. So of course they want OBJ money.
Okay. Yeah.
You think, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
People, somebody who makes $100,000 a year, it's a tax person who can't wait to file their taxes.
Right.
Because that's what they need that person to pay so that they can keep their tax office open. And I think the thing that we have to realize is that we think people with titles are smart with our money.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
That's a good point.
Most accountants know nothing about economics.
Wow.
Most attorneys know nothing about business. And who are the two people that most celebrities and athletes have handling their money?
Yeah.
Accountants and attorneys.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so to say even that it sounds absurd that Odell Beckham Jr. can blow through $100 million. Think about how much money people blew through during the pandemic. People got the most amount of money they've ever touched in their life, yet they're in a worse financial situation now.
And the world was shut down.
It wasn't even nothing you could buy.
Yeah.
People were making up things to go buy.
For real.
And so when people say, "Oh, how could he blow through $100 million?" I could never go through that. People blow through their paychecks every year.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's all because if you ask the average person how much their monthly expenses are, they could not tell you.
They have no idea.
And if they did tell you, if you did have them calculate their monthly expenses, I guarantee you that they calculate their expenses from their gross income,
right,
not their net.
But is that also touching what we're talking about of a mindset thing? Like 1000%. Odell's his mindset should have changed once he got the money.
Well,
you don't have to burn $1 million.
Well, that's what we assume that it should change.
Right. You would hope it would.
You would hope.
Yeah.
We don't know who's around him.
True.
Nobody's probably pouring into OBJ.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And no disrespect if he ever sees this. Who knows if he's ever read a book? Who knows if he ever had mentors? When you're in your 20s and somebody gives you, can I cuss on here?
Yeah.
Fuck you money. Who are you gonna listen to?
Right.
There's but that's why the manifestation has to take place. Because if I were to look back at my 21-year-old self, if you would have gave me 10 million, you could not tell me shit.
I get you. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So by the time the player gets to their mid 20s, 29, 26, around that age, as they start to develop mentally, but then by then the habit of their money habits have already been indoctrinated into what it is that they do.
Right.
You know, they've already, got 5 houses that they're paying mortgages on that's not making them money.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking care of 10 family members. You know what I'm saying? So it's very easy to go through that amount of money. We're looking at the dollar amount.
Right.
We're not looking at the habits
Absolutely.
that were not ingrained in him.
And you just brought it to my attention because I literally just said between your 20s, you should be in the growing stage. Well, I can't look at him any differently in that in his 20s, he should have been in the growing stage. So yeah, that's
we think money makes somebody
right
who we think they should be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not how life works.
So with that being said, there's just the development of self again in your 20s that has to go along with the mindset, even if you do come into a lump sum. So do you think it kind of is a double-edged sword to get money at such a young age?
It can be, only because at the end of the day, they give the athletes the money so they can spend it.
Right.
Because if they spend it, how do I make sure that he continues to perform?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you got to come back and get another contract.
Right.
Go buy that house.
Mm-hmm.
Go buy the cars. go to live and live your life.
Right.
Because now you got to come back
mm-hmm.
and perform because you want another contract.
Right.
Think about somebody who works a 9 to 5. They used to say, don't ever tell your boss what your life look like outside of work.
Please speak on that, because I love that.
Because if your boss knew you just went and bought that house at the top of your budget,
yep.
If that boss knew you just went and bought 2 vehicles that you probably really couldn't afford, now they know, DeAndre, you locked.
You got me by the balls.
You can't go nowhere.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you unpaid overtime and disguise it as a salary position. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so we have to understand that a lot of this stuff is constructed. So yeah, they expect him to go spend that $100 million.
Right. And on the same notion of don't tell your boss the good stuff or the bad stuff.
Or the bad.
Because you can't let them know you're having a baby. You know what I mean? Because now he knows you need this job more so, right? So he can start doing exactly what you said and being funny and acting funny with you.
But to that point, not to cut you off.
Oh, you're good.
Why do we feel the need that we got to share information about our lives with people who that they're not our family?
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes you hang out with your coworkers more than you do your own family.
Which is true, but see, I'm a little partial on that.
Okay.
And I've always said that I never really ever tried to make friends with people I worked with when I was on a job.
Okay.
But
that's an old school mentality.
The reason I did that, because I knew that was temporary for me.
Mindset.
My motivation was to get up out of there as fast as I can.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so, and at the end of the day, it's like, I'm here just to perform.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really looked at my job like I was just there to make money so I can take it back and pour it into what it is that I wanted to do.
Boom.
I'm not here to be a lifer.
Come on now. And to that point, I feel like that's also an issue with the mindset of going into wanting to be a business owner and an entrepreneur. Of everyone thinks that they're too good for a 9-to-5 job. Now, everyone, I remember my 9-to-5 literally paid for my entire life plus starting my business.
That's how it's supposed to be.
All of my paychecks went to paying all of my bills, taking care of my family, and then what was left over, poured it right into my business. And I needed it because, I'll just be real, I was getting into the credit game and the credit space. So I had to build relationships with institutions.
Right.
I needed that money. I needed the banks to think I had money coming through my business. So to me, I never understood the mindset of like, why would you not want a 9-to-5?
I could tell you why.
Please.
Because entrepreneurship became an aesthetic.
It's hard. I don't know if people know.
People want it
It's
to look.
hard.
People want it to look like an entrepreneur,
Right.
but they're not.
At all.
See, the definition of entrepreneur is someone who's willing to take on greater than normal risk.
Mm.
And so a lot of people aren't willing to take on any level of risk. They just want to be able to tell people, oh, I have an LLC. You know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
I kept my job as long as I could,
Same.
as long as I had to. Matter of fact, at one point I left corporate America and went back to work.
Yeah.
Because I had to stabilize my foundation, because the number one reason that so many entrepreneurs won't make it is because their regular life is unstable.
Mm.
You know, because now when people say, oh, I just want to be able to replace my income, you was barely making it on the income you was getting from your job.
Right.
So if all you're doing is swapping where you're going out there working for it and you're keeping that, you're still going to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see, so many, especially brick and mortar businesses, they often say, well, times are hard because of the, people aren't supporting. Nobody even know you there because you don't pay for marketing.
Yep.
And so it's so many different nuances that I think people skip when it comes to wanting to be an entrepreneur or a business person, because being a businessman or a businesswoman has now become an aesthetic and not actually, it has nothing to do with business no more.
Will, listening to the way that you think and the way that you look at it, and us just having this conversation, I kind of want to give an opportunity. If you were to start all over from ground zero,
Right.
like what would you tell the audience? This is what you would do. You keeping all the knowledge that you currently have, what would you do to become successful in being an entrepreneur?
Oh, man. So interestingly, I was speaking with my CFO,
Okay.
which they have a wealth management company. And their main thing is tax mitigation and being able to help, businesses that make a certain amount of money keep their tax liability down, because that's really what kills most people.
There it is.
Even when you work a 9 to 5, 30% of every dollar you make goes to taxes.
Right.
64% goes to your expenses. Most people only have 6% of their income to try to start a business, but they use that to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why so many people fail. But to answer that question, if I had to start all over again, and when I was talking with my fractional CFO, I said, I would definitely make sure my credit was in position, and I would go and get as much capital from the bank as possible, because one, is tax free, and two, I can expedite the time it takes me to get in position, because it's going to be hard to save 10, 20, 40, 50,000 when you only have 6% of your income for potentially discretionary, activity. And I said, if I had access to 100,000 and I started from scratch, I would go buy a piece of property.
Okay.
And the reason why is because that hedges my money. And by hedging my money, that means that my money is now collateralized. The only way you don't lose it, you just break even. Okay. And what I mean by that is that I go get the credit from the bank, and let's say this is the property. If whatever in life goes wrong, I have an opportunity to recoup and at least pay the bank back. How? I could just sell the property.
Right.
Now, how do I grow and scale and expand from there? Well, now it's easier for me to be able to get more money. Do you want to know why, DeAndre?
I do.
Because now I can collateralize the property. Banks will always give you money based off of collateral. And when you think about why is it so hard for so many people to borrow money from the bank, because their collateral is horrible. Them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, here's why so many people usually fail. They go get the 100,000 and then they deploy it into things that are non-collateralized. And no disrespect to any business industry, these are just the facts. If I go and get $100,000 and I go and start an Amazon FBA business or drop shipping, nothing that I purchased is collateralized if that business fails.
Right.
I can't go back and sell the products. And even if I could, I'm going to get 30 cents on a dollar. Nobody wants to buy used equipment. Nobody wants to buy used inventory. And so I think that people get emotional when it comes to making decisions because it's their passion, or at least they think. Versus, I tell people I don't make emotional decisions when it comes to money or business now. I make mathematical decisions. And I think if more people, when they're looking at going into entrepreneurship, learn how to make mathematical decisions, they would actually increase their odds of success. And so if I had to start all over again, first of all, I would only make mathematical decisions. And the best mathematical decision that has never failed me yet is going to buy real estate and borrowing against that so I can scale into whatever other business venture that I wanted to, because my money is protected.
Did you always have that mindset, or did you get burned in a situation, lose money for you to be able to like look at money differently?
I would say that I've always had that mindset.
Okay.
But the reason I've always had that mindset is from playing Monopoly.
Okay.
When you think about the game of Monopoly, when's the last time you played it?
Man, it had to be what? We used to actually like do sleepovers during basketball tournaments, like the winter tournaments. So we would play. So I don't know, sophomore year, like 2006, 2007.
All right, so 20 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. When you go home, break the board game of Monopoly out, because here's how Monopoly works. In order to win, how do you win in a game of Monopoly?
Everyone that you're playing with no longer has money. They've landed on your properties. Bankrupt them. Yeah.
How do they go bankrupt?
They don't have the cash on hand to pay you when they land on your properties, and then they have to also like sell their properties from the bank to give you money, essentially.
Or they pay taxes.
There it is.
The only way you can win in Monopoly is you have to own real estate.
Yeah.
And if whoever owns the bulk of the real estate on Monopoly board, you have a 99.9% chance of winning, because you have a 100% chance of landing on any one of my squares.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that you make money in Monopoly when you don't own real estate is you pass go.
After jail.
After you go to jail. And you're going to pay taxes.
Right.
And so then as I got older, I started playing the game Cash Flow 101 by Robert Kiyosaki.
Mm-hmm.
And so have you ever played that game?
I haven't.
Incredible game. It's a mixture between life and Monopoly.
Cool.
And so the way that game works is that you start off in the rat race, and everybody has to pick a profession. And I remember the first time I played, everybody wanted to be the doctor, the engineer, and this, that, and the third. But the one thing that they never looked at those professions, and it's actually on the game card, is the amount of expenses that they had to pay. Okay. And so it was actually harder for the doctor to get out of the rat race.
Right.
And so when I got into this world of being able to play Monopoly and cash flow in real life, my ultimate goal, even when I got into the credit space, was to always buy real estate.
Okay.
Because I knew that I wanted to play a game that 100% of the population has to play. Everybody has to live somewhere.
Mm-hmm. You're right. And speaking on that, I mean, Trump just put into like an executive order, he's trying to get it obviously passed, of no longer allowing like the big hedge
institutional
funds,
investors.
Yeah, to purchase single family homes. I think that that's going to be obviously amazing, right, for the first time home buyers. But then I saw that there was a little something extra on it as well, was he said the only people that got to get forced the depreciation, right, is the businesses, because single homeowners don't get to force depreciation. And he's looking to change that. I think that would be a huge game changer if obviously you could force depreciation on the houses you live in. What do you think that would actually do for the economy if this was to pass?
So I think it'll have an impact, but I personally don't know if it'll have as big of an impact as we think. And here's why. Because the other facet of that is people want rates to continue to go down.
Right.
If rates go down, it's still going to force appreciation because there's a shortage of inventory.
Right.
The United States is short over 4 million homes in the United States, which Jerome Powell has actually been scared to drastically cut the rates substantially, because overnight the housing cost is still going to double.
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually in kind of this, purgatory stage when it comes to housing. But at the end of the day, I think that, and I want to make sure that I'm saying this very carefully. I think at the end of the day, we have to be able to learn how to get back to group economics.
Meaning
Meaning that regardless to even if the housing market continue to increase, okay, let's get 2-3 families and we go buy real estate. We may have to live together.
Got you. That's a cultural thing.
That's a cultural thing.
Yeah. Asian.
But when you look at that,
do it. Mexicans do it.
Where is the bulk of the wealth at in those communities? You know, the Wall Street Journal put out an article in 2023, and I don't know if they had updated it, but they said that the average net worth of a black household, and they even said college graduating household, was 17 to 24,000.
Wow.
The average in a Hispanic was about 40,000.
Jeez.
Our other counterparts, Asian and white, was anywhere between 100 to as much as $200,000 to $300,000, and it all stemmed from some form of ownership in the housing industry.
Yeah.
And so now, I want to make sure that I let people understand that doesn't necessarily mean just from owning your own house, which I do believe we should own our own house. But I also think that most people overspend on their primary residency, because a lot of the times people think, oh, well, let me go buy a house at the top of my budget. But then you've locked up most of your wealth, most of your investing money opportunities. If you're, cash poor, but you have this big house that you are living in, you've pretty much locked yourself out of being able to invest long term. And you have to wait 30 to 40 years, which most people never pay their house off. So they'll never be able to tap into that wealth. And a lot of the times they'll never be able to tap into it is because they refinance it so they can put a pool in the backyard. They refinance it so they can take a trip to, Dubai. Like, we haven't looked at being able to leverage debt to be able to make us money. And so we've artificially, have created of what we think is wealth for a lot of our families. And that's why the average black household's net worth is like $17,000 to $24,000.
I think I saw the same study in, like, they put a dollar amount on what is considered wealth. It was like $667,000 a year. So it was drastic of what it actually takes. But it also is really nice to see the counterpart of, you don't have to be a millionaire to be considered wealthy. But the family that you were describing of refinancing their home to go on vacation and to take the trip to Dubai, that's kind of quote unquote like keeping up with the Joneses. But that's also a mindset thing, because when you're in grind mode or when you're in trying to make it mode, and I want to make sure that people understand this, like, it's okay to not have and to not buy new things and not to eat out all the time. And I remember, dude, like, there was a point where I was sleeping in my car, you know what I mean? Driving the same car, like, and for granted, like, when I did get a little bit of money, I bought a new car. So I was driving.
Nothing wrong with that.
So I was driving the same new car for 10 years. It was no longer new. Do you know what I mean? But when I got more money, I didn't just go right out and buy another one, because I knew I had a goal in mind. It's okay to not struggle, but it's okay not to always keep up with the Joneses. When you're in grind mode, you have to stay in that lane, because, and I try to tell this to as many people as I can, $100,000 problems are different than $500,000 problems. $500,000 problems are different than $1 million problems.
If people only knew.
Million is different than 20 million.
The problems don't stop.
They do not stop. Money. They just get bigger. And that's the thing you have to be able to understand, is you have to be able to navigate all of these new areas when you come into money in life, and just in different rooms. And if you don't have any room to breathe, or you don't have no room to dream, or someone actually gave me a way to think about it like this. Like, if your left foot is on a piece of ice and then your right foot is on a banana peel, anything happen in the world, you done. That's
how most people live.
Most people live like that. And if you're living like that every single day and you can't take a step left or right, how do you expect to overcome when a situation's going to happen? Because I'm here to tell you, it's going to happen. It's a mindset thing that you just have to keep on leveling up and growing with yourself and overcoming challenges. That's really what it is about being a boss and being an entrepreneur is. And sometimes you got to be the bad guy. You got to be the villain.
You have to.
I can't be nice to every single person, because you think I'm soft, you think I'm sweet, and you try to take advantage of me,
Right.
I gotta sue you. Or, you know what I mean? It don't have to be physical, right? But when you level up in life, you got to take legal matters.
Yeah.
I can't let you play me like that.
That's business.
That's what I'm talking about.
And we've gotten to the point to where, unfortunately, the street culture has contaminated the business world.
Mm-hmm.
And now everything is about violence.
Right.
And it's always been interesting to me that anytime, especially with a lot of us blacks, when we have a disagreement, it resorts to violence,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to, no, let's handle business. Like, court doesn't mean that I hate you.
Right.
That just means that we got to handle this per the legal agreement that we had. And after we finish, however the court case pans out, let's go grab a shot of tequila and get back to doing business. But we take stuff so personal these days. And so, like you say, you do have to, quote unquote, be the bad guy in their eyes, but that's just business. And I think that this new era of business, we think is kumbaya. Business is fucking war.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's the thing that I think a lot of people come into this so green that they think it's supposed to be, you know, Skittles, strawberries, and rose petals. No, that's not how. That's not even real life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not even real life.
Not even close. If you take the quote the softest guy, let's just say, like you take Bill Gates. You look at Bill Gates, you're like,
I guarantee you, he a menace.
He's a gangster.
He's bought in all the farms.
Nobody in their right mind would be able to press Bill Gates, and you would think he's the softest dude wearing, you know, blue jeans and a crew neck, you know what I mean, and his hands in his pockets. But when push comes to shove, you might not be heard from again if you mess with Bill Gates. Like, you got to do that.
What's so crazy? Have you seen the movie The Social Network about Facebook?
Yeah.
So it has the portrayal of what's the owner of
Zuckerberg.
Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg.
Mm-hmm.
He was a gangster,
right? In Harvard.
At Harvard,
yeah.
And they depicted him as the softest guy, quote unquote, there, but he was gangster. Mm-hmm. No matter how people came at him, the twins wanted to be like, everybody hated him,
right?
But if he was not able to endure that, he wouldn't be where he was at. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. And I think that's the other thing that, and this is going to be a little bit unpopular, we have to exclude a certain portion of morality in order to be successful in business.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning, like, we have to stop assuming just because you're a good person that you're automatically going to be successful.
Gotcha.
That has nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
If you're not competent, you're not going to win.
Right.
You know, you can be a nice person, but if you don't know how to shoot free throws, your team will not win the game. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I mean. Okay. Has nothing to do with, like, not being integral and different things of that nature, which I think which kind of sucks for our generation because we really don't understand a lot of the definitions of the words that we throw out there. Mm-hmm. And so good and bad has nothing to do with being successful.
Nothing.
At all.
I like how you described it. I mean, it is war. It's literally war all the time. And even in war with your friends going to battle, right? There's things that you're going to tell them to do. Let's just say they're a part of your team.
They will not listen to.
They won't listen to. They'll be like, I'm not doing that. Why do we need to do that? Because they don't understand what the next level is, what the next step is. And like I was saying, you got to be the bad guy. They just got to do it. Like when you're growing up, right? Like your dad would tell you to do stuff. And I know you would be hot. You go in your room, scream with the door closed, but it's Pops. He runs the house because he knows
he had to be the bad guy.
He had to be. He knows what's best for your mom. He knows what's best for you and your little sister.
And that's what I mean about morality.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with your dad being a bad guy.
Right.
It's about he has to make the decision that he may feel bad about making. Mm-hmm. And so that level of morality has to go out the window. And I think that's where so many people get caught up at.
Yeah.
And I've literally have heard, and I'm sure you've heard this, man, why do these things keep happening to me? I'm a good person. It has nothing to do with you know, getting the result that you're attempting to get.
Right.
Yeah.
And on the same notion, if you continuously keep having the same things happen to you, there's something you got to change.
Something.
Running in the same environments, running around with the same people. You know what I mean? Like,
or your math is off.
I know that.
When you think about business, most people suck at business because their math is off.
Terrible math. Yeah.
And I flunked algebra twice. So you don't have to be, all you have to do is know how to add, subtract, multiply, divide. And you want to know the even grander part of all of that, DeAndre?
Tell me.
We have calculators on our phone. So I don't even have to memorize these numbers.
Ain't that a beautiful thing?
That's beautiful, man.
I heard there was this billionaire that asked just a normal guy, like who was interviewing him. He asked back to the interviewer. He was like, how many hours do you think that you have in the day? And the interviewer was like, what do you mean? Like, I got the same 24 hours as everybody. And the billionaire was like, that's the difference. The way you think is the difference between you and me.
1,000%.
Because I will leverage other people. And he was like, so if I can pay 10 other people 10 hours out of their day,
I'm doing it.
I just gained back 100 hours of free time in my life in a day.
I would spend 40% of my 100% to be able to get 100 hours a day.
Boom. And that's a mindset shift, is you have to be able to understand when you get to these different levels, you cannot be everywhere and you cannot be everything to everybody.
No.
You have to put people in place. And then you do your checks and balances, right? You make sure they're doing their job, but they have to go do these little things and these tasks. And again, this is where that quote unquote being the bad guy is I got to get my time back because I'm forward facing. I'm building this company.
Right.
Y'all got to do the work though. And
I'll bring us the business, but
come on,
y'all got to bring it home.
And I put you in this place because you made me believe you were good at it. So yeah, I got time back in my day. So you are running around with 24 hours, but I'm banked up over 100.
Easy.
You know what I mean? And it's a mindset thing. It's beautiful when you unlock these other worlds in your mind when you start to see differently. And it's kind of like the movie The Matrix. You know what I mean? Two different worlds. Then when there's people on this planet that are living a completely different life than you, and you're just like, I wonder what the difference is. It's the mind. It literally is how you've trained your mind. But it's also doing things that are scary, like you said, that are scarier than everybody else. I'm able to endure more because I've put myself in situations where I had to overcome.
Had to, man.
That's why I live a different life than you. I don't live my life scared and having that low fear tolerance.
Yeah.
You know, it's an amazing thing, but 90% of the people that are watching this, we could tell them all of these plays, all of these different mindsets.
Doesn't even matter.
They'll never execute.
Never, because they have to be able to be forced into change.
Right.
You know, and you said something earlier that made me think about, that's why rock bottom sometimes is the best place to be.
100%.
Because it unlocks something in you that you didn't even know that existed.
Powerful.
And so I tell people, the greatest thing that happened to me was moving out here with $500 and being homeless. Because I was able to see what my real character was.
Wow.
I was able to see, can I endure long enough? I was able to see, oh, I don't have to ask my parents for money. I don't have to go and live with somebody during tax season and try to finesse them out of their pay. Like, I was able to push through all of that. You know what I'm saying? And I think because, and even kind of talking about when you talked about LeBron, like, I don't know his whole story and journey, but yeah, I don't think he's ever had to endure, you know, being lonely, being broke, being, you know, all of these different things. I mean, obviously when he was a kid, but I don't even think you can count that. But as a man, you know, you have to and this goes for men and women, it's applicable. So it's no gender tie to it. But yeah, if you don't endure some level of rock bottom, I think that it is going to be a lot difficult to get through a journey. And I think we're seeing that now, DeAndre, because I've seen so many people who got access to so much money during the pandemic.
Right.
They are crashing out right now.
Bad.
I mean, really bad. Yeah.
It's incredible to see, because those people that were popping during COVID, you're like, man, if only I could, or if I had that opportunity. And now you look at them and we're 5-6 years removed, and they're way worse off than they ever were before they started.
A lot of people are in worse situations.
Right.
You see their credit report. So
I do.
So you know firsthand. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And that's the thing, man. And it's like, And I think I saw a post recently on Instagram, and I reposted it. You'll be able to know who made investments 10 years from now.
Right.
Shit, we see that now.
Mm-hmm.
We see now who made investments, whether it was into themselves or into, commodities or assets,
right,
versus people who just bought shit.
Mm-hmm. I want to also touch on, and if you're open to it, obviously, please feel free, is the importance of, while you're coming up along this journey, and this one's a little bit more towards men, you have to have a goal, you have to have a purpose, and the girl is the gift. The girl is not the goal. Just like at the beginning of time in the Bible, like Adam had a goal. Adam had the land to tend to, right? He had a job to do. Right. And then he was given Eve, and then she was the helper. That's what she was to him. Men are wired the exact same way today, where you have to have a goal. You have to have something that you're working towards, and it can't be women because they come and go.
Right.
And if that one isn't one who understands what your goal is, or isn't able to get along and push you to unlock another level, because a woman will do that for you. Right. The right woman will unlock a whole another level. And it's a weird thing to like balance, at least for me, like the pride and ego, because I'm like, I want to show my wife I am this person. So I push harder to become it for her. Right. And picking a partner or a spouse is so important, because if you pick a spouse where there's opportunities to go network, and we're going to a cigar lounge and she's blowing you up 24/7. And when you get home, she wants to go through your phone because she thinks you're cheating, but you are just closing $1 million real estate deal. She doesn't understand the dream, bro.
Right.
She's not the one for you. And you're spending too much energy trying to get her to understand, when she should have been the whole time texting you affirmations like, go kill it, go crush it. And if they want to go to drinks afterwards, you go to that too, because I got the house.
100%.
That woman right there will unlock you to a whole nother level you didn't know you were capable of going to. And I want to make sure that men more so understand this is, yes, women are the gift. They're beautiful, and they'll make you feel really, really good for a split moment in time.
Right.
But if the woman is the goal, you're never going to unlock who you're supposed to be, bro. Ever. Do you similar sentiment, feel the same way? You've seen it? I'd like to just hear it from another man.
Absolutely. So I have a mentor by the name of Shabazz.
Okay.
He's probably like in his 60s.
Wow.
And he told me a long time ago, he said, Will, whatever your goal is, it has to be by any means necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't have another person deter you from being on that path, because at the end of the day, you are going to have regrets.
Wow.
With yourself and with that other person who prevented you. And so I just remember being on my journey that there was nobody that I was going to let stop me from getting where I was heading. I don't care if it was my mother. You know what I'm saying? And I think we take this thing about, oh, well, this is my ex, whatever title you want to put on it. Not ex meaning like a partner, but ex meaning it could be your mother, your wife, your girlfriend, your boo, whatever. And we hold a level of regard that we're supposed to put our life on pause.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back to when my grandfather was my dad's father. He was in a hospital. And he literally was, passing away. And I remember I called him and he said, son, whatever you do what you want to do in life.
Right.
Man, I'm not letting anybody stop me on this path that I want to create for myself. Because at the end of the day, DeAndre, when it's all said and done, and, when it comes time for us to meet our maker, we used to kind of have this joke back in the day. When it's time for us to meet our maker and it's time for us to get into wherever we believe we're going to go, I don't think another person, even your spouse, is going to use their last words to vouch for you. They going to want to get in there.
Right.
So I had to make sure that I create this path for me, and then whoever I decide to bring along, they just add to it.
Right.
And adding to it isn't about what they need to bring to the table.
Right.
Adding to it is being able to ensure that this sanctuary stays peaceful, that this thing continues to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need any distractions because we're already being beat up by the world. We're already being beat up by society. We're already we already go through it. We got to work 10 times harder to get a fraction of what our counterparts already get.
Right.
And so the last thing I want to do is have to go home and compromise who I am becoming to appease somebody else who doesn't even know what I had to endure for them to even be able to live the way we want to live.
Mm-hmm. And to piggyback on that, I'm not at all saying like being with me is easy, or being with you, being with any entrepreneur or man who wants to become something, because it's not easy
at all.
It's a lot of hours by yourself. It's a lot of hours where you're wondering, what am I doing? Because I'm out making it happen.
Right.
It's a lot of hours of raising our daughter by herself. But then on the other side, the flip side is, because I am in the public, I'm allowing more to come at us. And of course, her by nature being motherly, being loving, she sees everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not normal to have to kind of protect her family from hundreds of thousands of people all the time. So I'm not at all saying it's easy being with someone who's trying to get to the next level. I'm pretty sure if I ask my wife, she's exhausted. You know what I mean? It's not like physically going out and working, right, but it's exhausting being with me, and probably also having to talk herself off the ledge. Like, I know he's a good man. He's not doing this, right? That's exhausting in itself, to reassure yourself constantly. So it is, it's a mindset thing for your spouse to get onto as well. Like, okay, this is the person that I'm with. This is the person they want to become. So there's a lot of new stuff that is going to come along with it. And they don't have nothing to be able to compare it to, because I'm the first one doing this.
Right. No,
you know what I mean? So it's a big deal, picking your spouse, picking your partner. And that goes both ways, male, female. It matters. And I think if you can get through it quickly, where you're finding the right person, and I'm a huge proponent of this, date intentionally really, really quickly.
Right.
Like, I know this is not what everyone likes to hear. Everyone wants like slow it and find that person forever, or romance.
Right.
Cut all of that. Get to it right from the jump so that you can get to the right one. And I'm talking, show me your algorithm. I like right off the bat, bro. First date, show me your algorithm. I don't need to
show me your credit score.
Show me your credit score. I don't need to go through your messages or your DMs, but I need to see what's your Explorer page. What is your timeline? Because I don't want this person who's fear mongering herself, politics all day, and what 50's doing. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be with that person.
No, at all.
I can't. So cool. This is a good first date. We're going to end this. I'm going to pay for it, but we're done.
Right.
Quickly get to the person where you're like, oh, that's a cool timeline. You know what I mean? There's some business on there. There's some makeup on there. There's some cool, funny jokes on there. Like, I could rock with you.
Right.
Now we can continue this thing. And I know that's probably unpopular and people don't want to share their phones. I promise you, you'll get to where you want to get to, and a lot faster if you just speed up the process.
Well, you got to pick a spouse like you pick a business partner, because that is going to be your number one business partner.
Right.
You know, they're going to know all your finances. You have to be able to trust them. You have to be able to trust them to be able to make decisions for you at certain times. And so I think that when you are on this quest of, you know, wanting to get to a certain level, you know, financially, economically, and all of that, you have to pick your partner like a business. It has to be a business decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that, you know, that is very difficult because we haven't even been conditioned to learn how to pick a person in any realm of where we're going in life. We were just like, oh, you cute, you look good, let's get together.
That's it.
Like, that's what we've been taught growing up.
Pretty babies.
That's it. We've been taught that growing up, and we haven't been taught like if you ask the average man, because I can only speak for men, a lot of times, especially when we're young, we don't know what we want
at all.
You know what I'm saying? We haven't really built our own values because what we've learned at home, we may grow apart from that. You know what I'm saying? And so we don't know what we're willing to accept, what we're not willing to accept until you actually start living a little bit of life. So to your point about dating intentionally and quickly, I agree with you because you don't even know what it is that you would like because you haven't lived enough life experiences. And I think that's the hardest part for so many, especially young people, is they don't have enough experience to have the data points to know what it is that they even want. And so they find themselves locked up in situations that they do regret. And we see it time and time and time again. So no, your partner, your friends, your business, you have to hand select everybody around you,
Right.
not just your spouse. You got to hand select everybody you want around you.
Do you feel the same raising your children, like, or your son? Like, do you feel like you have to have such an impact on him in who he allows? Because you guys are different
Definitely.
than everybody, right? Not everybody, but most people that he gets to come into meet in his lifetime. Do you kind of handpick, cherry pick who you allow to get close to, whose house you get to spend the night at, and put him on the right path because he doesn't know like people's
Right.
intentions because you're his dad.
Yeah. No, I do. But then I also give him enough leeway to where he has to be able to learn discernment too.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that comes from the level of dialogue. Like when my son was a baby, I would never even let people do the baby talk around him. I was having like real dialogue with my son when he was a baby, even though he couldn't talk back. And so at such a young age, he was so developed, even in just his vocabulary, because I was talking to him as if he was communicating and we're actually having a real dialogue. And so his level of discernment, when people meet him, my son is 15, people think he's older, not because of his look, but because of how he handles himself. And it's night and day when he's around other 15-year-olds. His level of maturity is just leaps and bounds, amongst other 15-year-old boys and girls. And so a lot of what I'm instilling in him is more so I work with him in learning how to think.
Okay.
So I'm not like super strict on him,
Right.
but I also I want to see how does he make decisions, and the first time I was actually proud of what I've instilled in him, he was probably like in the 8th grade, and he came to me and he was like, "Dad, there's a party at one of my friends' house or whatever. Do you think I can go?" And I said, "I'll see." About 2-3 days later, he came back because now it's close to the weekend, and he said, "Dad, I'm not gonna go to that party." I said, "Why, son?" He said, "Because I think they're probably gonna be drinking there." You see what I'm saying? So I was teaching him how to critically think at such a young age. And I just remember after school sitting down, and he hated it, but we would go through books that talked about critically thinking and how to, what is a bad decision? What are the consequences of bad decisions? And so my indoctrination with my son is, one, of course, I teach him about money and economics, but then two, I teach him how to critically think. I'm pouring more life skills into him.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we've gotten away from. I think it's something that most kids don't learn. We just instill in them reading, reading, writing, or arithmetic or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I flunked algebra twice. So we're not instilling what real life is going to look like into them. Yeah.
I had this weird thought the other day, probably like a month and a half ago, where I was like, am I doing my daughter a disservice because I'm trying to give her the life that I never had, right? And she'll never have to ride the public bus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I've done it. I've woken up early to go to school, walk to the bus. That's a weird place to be at 5 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably the people who slept there the whole night. You know what I mean? And that's just something that came along with, you call it like street smart, you know what I mean? Of there's things that she's never going to have those opportunities of, like those life lessons where I am who I am because of those things. Right. So I had this kind of talk with myself, was like, man, am I doing her a disservice by giving her the life, I wish I had, where I remember growing up, like Chuck E. Cheese was like that birthday. You know what I mean? Like you went to Chuck E. Cheese on your birthday, or your best friend was having a birthday. You go to Chuck E. Cheese. My daughter's like, it's Tuesday. I'm bored.
Yeah.
Let's go to Chuck E. Cheese.
No, I agree.
And we do.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what we do.
Smell different on a Tuesday.
There we go. Ain't nobody up in there. We hit everything. You know what I mean? The pizza's even a little better on a Tuesday. But I had to really talk to myself where I was like, don't give myself the grace for accomplishing what I'm supposed to, being her father, right? And kind of like what you're talking about, I have to teach her those things and give her the opportunity of critically thinking, because she's not actually going to be put in positions where her back is up against the wall, like, or have to ride the bus, and what takes what.
and I have a thing that I say about that, because I hear people say, like, oh, I'm doing a disservice to my children by not letting them go through the things I went through.
Yeah.
And my thing is like, why do we want to manufacture trauma?
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, no, my son will be a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want him to think he got to be homeless to be successful. Like, we have to get over these poverty stories that we think is like the blueprint to being successful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And we hear that, and especially in rap. It's the same story. I came from the streets. I shot 10 people. I sold keys of coke. Like, that's the same manufactured story for every single rapper.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I want to manufacture trauma for my son?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't have to know how to ride the bus. He gonna have a car.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's not gonna know what it feels like to have his phone shut off every couple months.
Right.
He's not gonna have to know what it feels like to sleep in back of a Nissan Altima. Like, he doesn't have to know what it feels like to put a bank account in a sibling's name.
Mm.
I don't want him to. I'm not gonna manufacture trauma just so I can teach him a lesson, because I'm his lesson. He's watching me.
Damn.
He's seeing the hard work I'm putting in. I'm showing him discipline. I'm showing him how to be disciplined with his money. I'm teaching him work ethic. I'm teaching him how to critically think. I don't want to manufacture trauma.
Powerful. Thank you for that. And I truly mean that. Like,
100%.
for me, thank you for that. That was awesome. Just like there's kind of a blueprint for wealth, you know what I mean? There's also a blueprint of poverty. You could
speak it very fluently.
Absolutely. And it's when you go into like wealthy neighborhoods, if you look at those houses and you speak to those individuals, they kind of have the same social demographic, you know what I mean? Of 2-parent household, high education. They're really involved in their children's life and their children's education, as well as like give back to their community or their church.
Right.
And fitness is a big deal. You know what I mean? And then the same thing on the social construct of poverty. It's normally a 1-parent household, not really too involved in your children's education. And there's not too much health pushed on you because there's a McDonald's, a liquor store, check, cash in place on every single corner. So you can follow whichever book and whichever script you want. You can follow the wealthy blueprint or you can follow the poverty blueprint. It's just up to you, however you really want to live. And I think this whole thing circles into the mindset, and it's there for you. It's really there for you and for the taking. It's just how much work and effort do you want to put in? Because I promise you, it's the same amount of effort. It's the exact same amount of effort to live over here and to be in poverty as it's going to be for you to be successful and to be wealthy. It's just different.
Well, the reason I think it's different is because there's very little accountability for an adult to do better.
Why do you say that?
Because when you're an adult, as long as you have somewhere to lay your head, you can get back and forth to where you need to go and feed yourself. That's living to some people.
You're right.
There's no accountability put in place for that person to want more in life. And for some people, when I hear them say, oh, I just want to be comfortable, there's no accountability for them to have to want more, because that's their level of comfort. And so poverty, obviously some of it is circumstances, because we can't help where our parents had us to grow up at.
Right.
And that's why I think it's important that sometimes we have to get outside of our neighborhoods to even see what's possible.
Right.
Because when I look back at my old self, there was a time where, prime example, when I first started making some money, I would go back to Milwaukee and felt like I had to be in the hood.
Because that was what you were used to.
Because that was the environment that I was comfortable in.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I saw somebody say something online. It was either Gilbert Arenas or Allen Iverson. It was somebody. And they were like, I've never made $1 million deal in a club.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when does most of the madness take place? When the lights come on after the so I had to even start learning how to get going back to where it's comfortable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But then it was also a threat of going back to where it was comfortable, because now you're somebody who everybody wants to aspire to get to, and now you potentially become a target.
Right.
So you have to be very careful. But because there's little accountability for some of us to want better, that's why it's difficult for some people to get out of their circumstances. But, and that's where that community comes into play, and being able to, like, you have to just want it, man.
Yeah.
Like when I was overweight, the reason I never lost weight, no matter how many times I went to the gym, I didn't want it bad enough.
There it is.
As long as my clothes fit, and when they stopped fitting, guess what I did? Just bought bigger clothes.
Size up, yeah.
Yeah. But it wasn't until I got tired of looking like that. It wasn't until one day I was walking past a window and I saw a silhouette of me sideways. And if I had dreads, you would have thought I was pregnant. Because I would have had long hair with a protruding stomach.
Right.
And so so as an adult, unless you have to really want it, and it has to be bigger than, just, the monetary or whatever, or even when people say, oh, I'll die for my kids, but you won't live for them. I had to start living for, my legacy. I had to start living for me, and then figuring out what it is that what really made me happy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where that solitude comes into play, because it's no way that you can know what it is that you want, because most of us as adults, men and women, spend our entire lives living for other people.
Very true. Wow. There was something that you said in there where you said, I just want to live comfortable. And I feel like a lot of people fall victim to that and don't truly understand, like, and I'm not meaning crystals and stuff like that, but every single thing, I'm sure that you're aware, everything is frequency. Everything that we do, this microphone in this room, right? And I don't know if people know, but if you look up the definition of like what is the future, it's the moment before you speak something or before you write something. That's what the future is.
Yeah.
And then if you look up the definition of the past, it's the moment after you've spoken something or after you've written something. That's how quick it is.
Very.
So every single time you say, oh, I want to make $1 million, and then something goes left for the day, and you're like, man, I just want to be able to pay my rent. Cool. That's all you're going to get.
Spoken into your future.
You've spoken it into your future. That's how precious every single thing is. Of what you're speaking is your future. So take precaution. You know what I mean? And again, that goes back to us. We were talking about at the very beginning of who you're having conversations with. Sure. And giving up the real estate in your mind, because that's what the future is that moment before you say anything or before you write anything. That is your future. Right. Once I feel like you can truly understand that, you'll, if you're open to it, right, you can know it and not give a damn, just be ignorant.
Easy.
But once you truly acknowledge the power, like within yourself of, man, I could really create my own algorithm, you can change your whole life in a year. Like, and when you really think about it, 12 months isn't that long to do anything.
At all.
To change your whole life in 12 months, to tell someone that, you're like, whoa, that seems impossible. Yeah. Bro, it's 12 months. Like, it's going to come anyways.
It is.
You might as well work on yourself, mold yourself, so when 2027 comes through, you're unrecognizable, bro, because you change everything. But again, we could tell everybody until we're blue in the face and they just want it. That's why I feel like there should be no such thing as gatekeeping. I could tell everybody every single trick about credit repair.
Won't do it.
They won't do it anyways. They still would rather pay me.
Yeah.
So gatekeeping should not be a real thing. We should be able to tell everybody every single thing from beginning to end, because 98% of the population won't do it.
Well, if you go and look at all my old videos, I gave everything away for free.
Everything.
I gave everything away for free.
Right.
Because I knew that most people wouldn't do it. And the reason I think a lot of people won't is because they're scared of pain. You know, people don't go to the gym because they don't want to. They go because they know it's going to hurt to get on a treadmill.
That's right.
It's going to hurt to do those push-ups. It's going to hurt to get up at whatever time you have to go there.
Right.
It's going to hurt to cut back their expenses. It's going to hurt to stop eating out and have to cook your own food. Like, sacrifice hurts for a lot of people. But like I always use the analogy, you know, the times I've stubbed my toe on a corner of my bed, I knew the pain was coming, but I also knew it was temporary. And I was able to time when the pain was coming, because it doesn't even hit right away. And once I started to understand the concept of that's really how life is, you know when pain is coming.
Right.
You just prepare for it. You train for it. And that goes back to what we talked about. Most people don't train to be able to go into the battlefield of business. Right. Most people don't train going into the battlefield of even getting a better body or whatever the case is. And so so the lack of accountability, they lack the accountability of having to be better, because it's people around them who will co-sign them being mediocre. And as I often say, man, being average is at the top of the bottom. And I don't want to be there.
Right.
So I don't let anybody around me who speaks negative frequencies into me. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in, oh, we can't do this. I'm allergic to average, man. And I'm not saying that to be like weird or anything. It's just that I understand the power of words, because I also remember telling myself that one day I'm going to be the biggest credit guy out here. I remember telling myself that I was going to be able to have, I've actually posted some goals I wrote in 2011.
Wow.
And on that goal sheet, it said that I was going to get out of debt. I even put on there like I was going to, lose some weight, because I wasn't at the weight that I wanted to be at. I said I was going to have a credit program to be able to teach people for free. And I said that I was going to have an LLC, like all of these goals. And I wrote this in 2011. So I created my own future. Right. And so that's why it's impossible for me to bring people around me who are trying to manufacture my future with their words.
Wow.
So I stay away from people like that.
You have to.
You have to, man.
Yep. Especially people will just take and take and take and take and never give. Those are the people that there's no helping them, because they don't even understand.
Well, they don't know any better.
There we go.
Because again, nobody's held them accountable for wanting more out of life.
Absolutely. Man, I want to ask you this. I want to tell you first off, thank you so much for this conversation.
Absolutely, man.
I've wanted to have like a real dynamic conversation.
Yeah, because I tell people, stop asking me the top 5 credit cards.
Yeah.
Google that.
Yeah.
Like I got 2,000 videos
where
you can find that out. No, I tell people all the time, and that's why I appreciate us being able to run this back, that we can people can see that I'm a real person. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not just all business.
He is real.
You know?
Yeah. Man, please, if you could, this one is your camera for like 45 seconds. I know it's what we've been talking about and we've been trying to get around to it. If you could let the person know in different stages of like being on the ready to launch stage and being in that fear mode, and then as well as the person who's in it, who keeps hitting their head against the ceiling and they're thinking like, I'm the only person in the world experiencing this in this business or the entrepreneurial world. Just speak to them for 45 and let them know like everything that you know, and they're not alone, and just keep going and leveling up. Like, what would you want to say to them?
Man, first thing I tell people, there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing. There's no new sauce. There's no new strategies. There is nothing new under the sun. And when I hear people tell me things like, oh, I'm scared, or it's fear that's holding me back, that's because we've been conditioned to think that fear stands for false evidence appearing real. Fear should stand for face everything and rise. And when I learned that people are fearful of fire, but fire also saves lives because it heats our homes. And so all I did was I used my fear as a launching pad of things that I did not want to go back to. I didn't want to go back to sleeping on the floor in my, weekly on Flamingo and Swenson. I didn't want to keep hiding my Nissan Altima from the repo. I hid my car from the repo man for 2 years. Wow. I got tired of going to the 99-cent store on Maryland Parkway, eating Top Ramen and Captain Crunch every single day. I got tired of, having to email my parents when my mother used to live back in Milwaukee because my phone was always cut off. I'm 30 years old with nothing, and I had been working since I was 11. I got tired of going through the cycle of poverty. And so unless you want more in life, you will never get what you want in life. And so stop telling yourself you're scared. Stop letting people manufacture your future. And there is nothing new that you're going through that you or myself have not been through times 10. It's actually easier now to be to get to a certain level because they didn't have the technology we had back then. I couldn't go and make money driving Uber 15 years ago. Right. I had to go power wash, retaining walls to make money. I had to figure things out. And so you just have to buckle down and understand that it's not supposed to be easy. And I think we kind of go through life thinking it's a utopia, that it's supposed to be like a sitcom where you have a problem the first half of the TV show and the life problem is solved in 24 minutes.
Right.
Life is not like that, ladies and gentlemen. You are going to go through things, but at the end of the day, and I'll ask you this question.
Yeah.
Name one thing that you went through that lasted forever.
Nothing.
It never lasts forever.
Mm-mm.
It's always temporary.
Always temporary. Man, that was so good. And while you were saying that, I remember seeing Elon Musk said, dream so big, like everyone around you thinks that you're a lunatic or you're crazy, right? And he said, ever since I started this whole space thing, the one goal I've had is I want to colonize Mars. And there's no going back for him. But he even gave himself a 30% chance of ever accomplishing that while he's alive. That's how big this man is dreaming. Like, we're dreaming on this earth. My man is having intergalactic dreams. Like, dream that big. And that's what I really want people to understand is, like you were saying, everything is temporary, but dream so big that everyone gets freaked out. And it's a good thing that those people leave your side, leave your life, and they don't get in the way. Because those leeches, man, those are the things that will bring you down the quickest. Just like your spouse, if you pick the wrong spouse, will bring you down the quickest, and you'll never get to tap into who you are truly supposed to be. I want you to truly walk away and understand that from today's episode of the future is that moment before you speak anything or before you write anything. So hold that to the umpteenth degree. Your words, especially if you're speaking them about yourself or if you're writing them about yourself. And any goal and dream that you have, please double down on it. Any aspiration that you have to be something, double down on it. And if that means you're working full-time job and at night you're driving Uber, like Will said, double down on that because 12 months is gonna come. You might as well be the person that you want to become and double down on yourself at every opportunity. I promise you, that'll be the best investment you ever make. And that was today's episode.